Welcome back, guys. This is the Fitness Podcast. I am your host today. My name is Emily. And with me, I have Steve Wise, who owns a gym in London called The Cut. And you and I, Steve, go back way back when. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. It's good to socialize during the last 4 months.
Yeah, how are you today?
Yeah, good, thank you. This is first time back in London for a couple of weeks. So it's quite good to see sort of business or people coming back in the city on the commute.
Yeah, is it packed on the tubes now?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get a seat, which normally disgruntles me, but I was quite happy about it today because it's signs of things bouncing back.
Yeah, and obviously, I think when we release this, it's going to be full boom already. So, yeah,
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed that this is it. But look, welcome to the podcast. I want to start you off, as I start everyone off, just by asking you, what does fitness mean to you?
I guess it's tough not to give a generic answer, but for me, like it helps people kind of come out the shell, kind of feel inclusive, just build on confidence and stuff like that. I think you get a lot of people in their sort of like early 30s that haven't necessarily been involved in fitness since like compulsory stuff at school. And sometimes there's a feeling that they don't necessarily belong in gyms or they don't have that sort of comfort to go to gyms. So being a personal trainer, I really quite enjoy sort of coaxing that out of them, that it is for everyone at any level.
Yeah. And obviously, as I said, you and I go kind of far back. I think we've known each other for 10 years,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit longer, actually. So I know you before you were a business owner and a gym owner, and I want to go straight back to like your journey and talk about where you're coming from, and just to how did you end up sitting here in front of me today. So it's a bit of a big journey, but
I think we've got Wi-Fi jumping, but can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Yes, so before getting into personal training, I was a chef for about 8 or 9 years. Towards the end of that time, I kind of really started to lose myself, and was quite unhappy with my career, the way I felt about myself, just a massive level of insecurity. At the time, I kind of started experimenting in mixed martial arts. So my big plan was get into personal training, so then I could sort of compete more in MMA, and the sort of income from personal training was just going to support mixed martial arts. As it happens, I was terrible at MMA and I had no business competing.
I remember going to your fight.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Yeah, short and sweet, second place. But yeah, that got me into sort of health and fitness, and that took me to Gym Box, which was it was a good starting point. It kind of had a good balance between working with general pop clients and having that slightly sort of a combat element to personal training. But it was there that I really sort of found that MMA wasn't for me, but personal training really was. And I kind of just really enjoyed working with the general pop client that wanted to do fat loss and just improve their quality of life. So 2 years on from starting Gym Box, I went to a personal training studio called Onboarding Fitness, which was fantastic. It was probably the best thing I could have done, because it kind of just opened up the world of business to me. It was moving into the city, and I kind of got a better understanding of how to start up a business. The fact that you didn't need your own cash to do it, which was always going to be an off-put for me, because what PT has £250,000 to start up a business. And I met some really cool people there. And from there, it took me about 18 months of being there to put like a business plan together, pitch to investors, really refine what I wanted to do. And from there, it took a couple of years to open up the studio. And that kind of brings us to The Cut with a few stops along the way.
Yeah. And I know there's been quite a few stops, right? It hasn't been an easy ride coming to where you are today.
No, there's been like lots of setbacks, but I suppose that kind of makes it all the sweeter for kind of opening. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of like it's a long road, and it doesn't happen overnight. And then obviously there's more setbacks once you do open a business. But I have to say it's massively fulfilling, and I don't regret anything about doing it.
Would you say that Because obviously there must have been points of your last few years there where you felt like it's not ever going to work out, it's just going against me. What would you say was the thing that kind of pulled you through?
I'm really fortunate in that from day one at Gymbox, I've had really good mentors that have helped guide me on the right path. A couple of them are doing really well in the industry. There's Ben Gotting from the Foundry, and then Chris Walton, who's now I think is head of training at W10 Fitness. So I was really fortunate that with regards to personal training and actually sort of running sessions and sort of running a small business, I was always well guided. And that sort of good fortune kind of carried over into the business partners I've got. I can't emphasize the importance of having a good support network. I think often people kind of like to think they've done it all alone because it makes a better story, but I'm just really fortunate with having good support. And that kind of even sort of goes out to our clients as well. Like a lot of clients really like to see young people that are, well, maybe I'm not young, but youngish people that are passionate about what they do. And I've just always been really lucky with sort of mentorship and sort of good advice and kind of staying on course with that. So yeah, I mean, I think network, support, mentorship, those are all big keys to success.
So when you have felt at like the deepest, darkest moments, what have you done to get out? Has that been reaching out to your mentors, or what like what have you done to get out of there?
Yeah, so we opened late 2018, and it was kind of, I want to say, almost plain sailing for the first 12, 14 months, which was not plain sailing, but business was just steadily going up. And I kind of thought, wow, this is just too good to be true. And then obviously COVID hit. And then I guess it's just a case of, again, I've been very lucky. I still have weekly calls with my business partner. He's been in business there. Owns a recruitment company, and he's been in business for like 15, 16 years. So he's a real calm, level head during all of this, which has been invaluable. I kind of have regular sort of Skype sessions with some of my clients. So yeah, it's just sort of like reaching out when you're kind of feeling low, because, you know, we've been closed for 9 months out of the last 12, which is hopefully a once in a lifetime occurrence, but it's obviously a tough time for everybody. And I think it's just a case of sort of realizing what your triggers are when you are feeling low, and understanding that there are people that want to help you, because we kind of all need a bit of help and support through this.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. I want to kind of digress a little bit from there and talk about your own transformation that you've been doing the past. I don't know, how long have you been working on your
Yes. So when was the last lockdown announced? December 18th. I know the date exactly. So last year was obviously a horrible struggle in terms of business, mindset, and kind of like just anxiety for me personally. And each lockdown, I kept kind of kicking the can down the street of getting in shape, planning to do it. And I think I got to just short of 90 kilos and by the end of last year. And when the third lockdown was announced, I kind of thought I need to come back looking good or feeling good, because my mindset is linked to being out of shape right now. So over the last 14 weeks, I kind of just got myself slightly back in shape, and I think I lost just about 15 kilos, which was much needed. But much like our clients, I kind of I had the time to do it all last year. I just didn't do it because I didn't hold it as a high enough priority. I kind of just kept making excuses and just very much telling myself that business and work was priority, and this could be dealt with later, because it just wasn't something that had to be done right now. And then, you know, I think I caught a picture of myself late December, and I was like, fuck, things have really dropped.
Yeah. All right. So I think where I want to go with this question then is, what would you, because I know that at this point, of course, of the point of the recording is 1 week out from opening up the gyms again.
Yeah.
What
Oh, well,
would
we're opening next week.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, it's a Wednesday now, but what I was saying,
Yeah.
we are going to be releasing this as it's becoming, as it already is open, or hopefully stays open.
Yeah.
What would you pulling on your own experience from last year of like anxiety, feeling not good in your body, feeling the
Yeah.
link between your body and mind.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who are feeling exactly like you did 15 weeks ago?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Are you going to ask that again, or you're just going to ask it
I've
now?
already recorded this, so.
Yeah, so I guess for anybody that's kind of felt those struggles that I just mentioned, I mean, I guess it's quite a generic answer, but I would always say go with the coach and get some accountability, because it's one of the toughest things is kind of going it alone. Because even as a personal trainer, the mistakes that I started to make every time I tried to get back into shape was pick up where I left off a year ago. You know, training, lifting the same weights you were doing before, even though you're not conditioned to. Hitting a real hard deficit because you want to get that weight down as quick as possible, and it's just not realistic because you've been out for so long. And I think that's going to be the case for a lot of the sort of our clients or the general pop who haven't had gym access consistently for the last 12, 13 months.
Yeah. I agree. People, and we've spoken about this in the previous podcasts about like going back into the gym after a time off. You need to maybe go back and listen to that episode, but it really is about taking where you are today and go, right, what's my starting point, and go from there. And I agree, having a coach that will help you go through that, because it's a little bit of like ego checking, right? And like making sure that you are not letting your ego run the show, so you're going at it too high of a pace, and then you get, I don't know, demotivated or injured or whatever it can happen if you're going way too fast. Yeah. So what would you say, like if we talk about a normal client coming in, like onboarding with the cut, like tell me how you do this. Like what is the process of onboarding people?
Yeah, sure. So that's definitely something that's changed for me over the years, because when we first opened, or when I first put this plan together, it was very much with transformations in mind. We're based in the city. Most of my sort of outreach and marketing is done on LinkedIn.
That's London,
So,
by the way, city in
oh,
London.
sorry, City
Bang.
of London, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so 70% of our clients are lawyers, which means, the whole sort of typical transformation sort of journey is pretty much not relevant to them. So the thing that I've kind of definitely developed over the last sort of 12 months is, or 12 months prior to lockdown, would be sort of like the consultation stage and actually truly listening to what a client wants. Because in the past, it was like, okay, I'm kind of listening, but I want to get this transformation or fat loss for you. But some of our clients aren't even coming here with those goals. So it's not up to me to force my goals onto them. So, by listening to what they really want is how we'll sort of do the roadmap for the first 12, 16, 18 weeks. Because generally, I'd say 70% of our clients will come in and they just want to get out of the office for 1 hour, 3 or 4 times a week. They want to get away from their desk. They want to move better. They want to feel better and become more energetic, which will in turn carry over into their life at the weekend spent with their kids and family. But we can't necessarily take a transformation approach where we tell a partner of a law firm, you need to sleep for 8 hours a night, turn off your phone at sort of 8 o'clock and sort of not check any emails, because that's just not realistic and it's just not going to work. So it really is just a case of listening to what the clients want and kind of delivering the most suitable process for them.
Yeah. And then what is like the standard programs that people do? Do they sign up and they do like how many weeks? Like what actually does it entail once you've onboarded someone?
Yeah, so our lowest sort of entry will be a 6-week program. And again, we won't really necessarily say that's the end route of 6 weeks, but that'd be sort of like the basic sort of intro package. And then the biggest commitments up to 48 sessions, which could be up to 24 weeks. Generally, our clients will be training with us 2 or 3 times a week, and then we'll look to add some activity outside of those sessions.
Yeah, and I think important to maybe realize is that it's a personal training facility and not a commercial gym. So the clients get like the full attention, right, and the space, and And I know I've been to your facility a few times, and it's a really nice gym. And I think
Thanks.
you've done a lot of you put a lot of effort in to create an experience, not just come in, get out. It's a community experience where people actually come in and feel welcomed and stuff. So yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, because that's something we definitely work really hard on. Because a client is worth, like, if you just look at monetary value and just look at the client as a figure, that's when you start to kind of like lose the personal touch. We only have like 85, 90 active members. So it's really important that we have a team of 5 or 6 trainers, and all the trainers know all the clients. And you very much come in and you do feel that you're being welcomed by a team, and it's just not just a one-to-one experience.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. And especially in a city like London, where it's never personal and you don't even like greet people on the streets, right? So, and I think that experience itself improves the quality of life for some people, and why they would want to stay for longer, right? Because they see that it's not just I'm paying someone to train me and then I get out. So I don't know what your retaining is, but I'm assuming that people start on a 6 weeks usually continue on for quite some time, because they see the value in having that level of community and support, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we've signed an expansion plan, so we're actually taking on a much bigger space within the same building. For me, like, I only saw that as a positive, because more space, more equipment, and I kind of overlooked the fact that some of the clients are really attached to this small space and the small vibe. And I actually had a couple of people come saying that they were slightly concerned that we might actually lose that sort of friendly sort of community feel, which we won't. But it was quite sort of good, like almost a positive that that's something that they're attached to. Because when I first opened, I was like, I'm really happy, but I want a bigger space. So yeah, we just need to make sure we carry on that sort of community feel as we grow.
Mm. And I think that just shows that you have listened yet again to your clients, and actually listened to their concerns, and putting the clients in front of your decision-making processing. So that's super exciting. I mean, I look forward to come back to London to
Yeah.
visit and see the new space, because I've been there when it's empty, and
Yeah.
it's compared to the other place or the other space. So together, it's just going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, this thing, there's so much competition in London, and there's so many fantastic facilities and studios. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but it's a real honor and privilege when somebody chooses to come and train with you. So that's a responsibility to not just deliver the hours personal training, but give the overall experience, make sure everything is on point. And if something isn't, then we're small enough that we can react quickly and hopefully improve that experience, not just for that individual, but for all the clients.
Yeah. So what does 2021, what are the hopes for 2021 for yourself and for the cut?
Yeah, so I think the last thing I did in December was a business plan and a business forecast, which got completely destroyed on December the 18th with the announcement. So, I mean, I guess for me, I don't want to go into too much detail about, because we just don't know what's going to happen. But in short, I want to get back open, get business back to where it was last February, which was at capacity. And then from there, we'll be comfortable to do the expansion, which I'm incredibly excited about, and absolutely scared stiff with everything that's happened last year. But that's the sort of business plans. Just get back on track and sort of really start enjoying work again. Because obviously there is an element of anxiety around any face-to-face business, I'm sure, around this time. So yeah, that'd be the major goal. Just pick up where we left off prior to all of the COVID mess. And then for me personally, I obviously just need to sort of stay on track with my own sort of health and fitness, because that's massively key to sort of happiness and your sort of success with everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. So what actually, if we're going to, now that you haven't been working at the gym for most of last year, what made you wake up in the mornings? Like what drove you to get up?
Yeah, I'm a creature of habit. So my lying in bed days are left in my late teens. So for me, like it was, this lockdown in particular, I still kind of had to stick to a routine. I was still coming into work just because I've access to train, so why not? And I guess if you're not sort of working towards something, whether that's sort of like marketing or working on the business admin side of things, then you just sort of stand still. And that's what the mistake I made in the second lockdown. And I just didn't really have a plan or an agenda. And then you start to, or I started to kind of like lose myself and just kind of like lose track of what was important and, fall away from the sort of goal of business.
Mm. Yeah. And, for anyone who's listening and are London based, how can they find you?
Yes, so the easiest thing to do would be to reach out through Instagram, which is the Cut Gym. And yeah, so we're based in the city centre, so close to Liverpool Street, Bank and Moorgate. So location is fantastic for anybody that's working in London.
Yeah. And I guess you just are open to onboard people who would be interested in actually committing, right? It's because it's a commitment. It's a commitment to self when someone signs up to a program, right? It's not you signing up to.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes what puts people off some personal training studios will be that they think it has to be like an all or nothing approach, thinking that, okay, so it's a 12-week transformation, so I need a clear diary, which is for most people just, a clear diary doesn't exist. People that sort of invest in personal training that are pretty senior at work are never going to have 12 weeks where they're not doing client entertaining, no birthdays, no family events. But you can still definitely make progress without being 100% clear for 12 weeks or 6 weeks, 8 weeks, however long.
Yeah. And I think that's super important. And I say that all the time as well. Your life is never just going to clear itself for you to do the things that you say you want to do. So
Yeah.
it's kind of deciding that, all right, I'm going to commit, and I realize that I will get the help that I need by committing. Right.
Yeah. And I think that's quite a sort of inexperienced personal trainer advice and approach, all or nothing. And I think I've heard you guys talk about it enough on your podcast. It just isn't ever going to be that way. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. We're not sort of training physique models, or at least we're not here at the Cut. We're dealing with professionals that have high pressure jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Very important to like separate sometimes the two. And then of course the goal can change along the way, and you go, actually, right, I want to push a little bit harder. Let me prioritize a little bit more. But that's the journey that people decide with their coach as the path progresses, right? I want to ask you a last question though. What would you say your mission is?
Uh, that's a real tough one. I thought you might ask. Do you mean in business for the Cut?
No, for you. Because the thing is, I know that you have a business.
Yeah.
Your business is part of your essence, right? You came from a place of insecurity and not maybe knowing your place in the world. I mean, I was there pushing you to do your PT course,
Yeah.
which I'm so happy that I did, because look at all of these lives that you're able to impact. So, what would you say your mission in life is, because you decided this path?
Yeah. Right now, I'm just so excited about getting back open and building on the Cut. I mean, specifics of business, who knows? I mean, like I just really enjoy the day-to-day running of the business, the gym. I'd like to think, obviously, we're providing a good space for clients, and I think something that always gets overlooked in businesses or personal training studios is the sort of the environment for the personal trainer. I think there's lots of studios that really undervalue their staff. So I kind of just want to provide a good place to work and a good place to come and train, and then just build on that community. And I think that's probably a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a 15-year lease, so we've got at least 13 years left.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And anyone who listens, as said, if you are London based and you're in need of good quality, personal, client focused training, then I myself know that you guys provide a really, really good service. And I think that people should hit you up either on Instagram or straight to the Cut.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening in. We will be back with another interview series and another episode soon, and have a really good one.